Yo viewers, today for the initial checkout we have a Uniden telephone. This one is suffering from some stupidity, and the model number is the XC610, and this was made in the Philippines. It's not made in China. And this, I believe, would be a product of the early to mid 90s. And this handset is very nostalgic to me because I had one of these. This was the first cordless phone I have. The model was XC610, and it was this handset with the base had an answering machine. And I spent the majority of my childhood with that telephone. Still have that phone. But they're very hard to find, and so whenever one of these shows up, I usually do get it. And the individual that had shipped this put it in the box like this. Like, what the heck? Are you kidding me? So now this is totally ruined, and I can't. It was broken in the pictures, but it was just kind of cracked a little bit. Now it's like totally wrecked. So I'm gonna have to do something about that. I'm not really sure how we're going to fix that. We will fix that. It's just going to take some figuring. That's all. Here's the power cord. It is the Uniden AD600, and it is the DC 9 volts at 100 milliamps. Very, very efficient phone. And pretty standard size plug. A tone pulse selector on there, and that's about it. No other settings to be had on the base. It's natively wall mountable. This is a 46 to 49 megahertz, 25 channels. The antenna on this seems kind of short. I remember the antenna on the 650 being a fair bit longer. It goes up to here. I don't know if that's visible on the camera or not. So that's great. I'll plug this in. And now let's put a battery in the handset. Would have originally taken one of those 3 short AA cells, but since these are a lot more abundant and easier to come across and have a much higher capacity, I'm going to throw one of these in there, and it fits just fine. As quite frankly, that other form factor is kind of becoming obsolete now. It's getting more and more difficult to find them. So these fit in there perfectly fine. And here is the informations. Also made in the Philippines, not the China. The battery that it would have originally come with was 270 milliamps, and at that point it was rated for 7 hours talk time and 14 days of standby. You know, it's tripled that now. So this phone could go over a month and a half or so on standby. It's kind of impressive. So it is charging. We have the charge light on there. Looks like it's getting kind of dim, but it's still working. And you saw it flicker there to reset the code. So let's go ahead and call this thing up. I believe it should have auto talk. Sure does. Now it's on. So we got 2 ringers on here. And 2 volumes. Okay. So we know it rings. I'll try it again while it's off the cradle. Okay, it is in fact working. Okay, I'm going to do a find. Huh, just a couple of beeps and that's it. I guess so. Okay, well that too is working. Let's go over to mains and make an outside call. Oops.
Good evening. Life is complicated. We're here to help. Peoples.com/insight. People's United Bank. People's United Bank. Time 7:43. Current temperature 36 degrees. Mostly clear through Monday. Highs upward.
Okay, that's working just fine. I guess there was a slightly different feature set among these handsets because the one that I used to have did not have receiver volume adjustments. It was just one set volume. This one has 2 levels. Channel is working. That's working. That's working as well. Okay, so it seems like all the features are working. That's working as well. Okay, so now we'll go back to the internal line and I will record a testing message with this telephone.
2 new messages and 9 old messages. Message 1.
This is a test of the Uniden Extendaphone 25 channel UltraClear Plus cordless phone. This is an analog 46 to 49 megahertz, and these I found they work pretty well. You know, they had a little bit of noise here and there as you're hearing, but for the most part, they were pretty clear, and almost all the way across the room. Right now I am all the way across the room as far as I can get, and it's still perfectly clear. So these are pretty decent phones. One I had, I used it for many years, and it was always very reliable, and it still worked perfectly fine. Okay, so now I'm back in the studio. I'll change the channel a couple times, and you'll be able to hear what that sounds like if the testing answering machine doesn't cut it off. Okay, I just changed the channel. I'll change it one more time. Okay, I'm done changing channels. Now I'm going to hang it up.
Message 2.
And this time I'm going to hang up into the base.
End of messages.
The pickup is kind of quiet on this phone. It's not a defect, that's just how these were. All of these that I've used, including the one that I had years ago, the pickup is just kind of quiet. So, anyways, it's working perfectly fine, and it's in pretty decent condition aside from the antenna. It's dirty, but it's not really scuffed up that much, and there's not a lot of wear on it. So this may come to be a pretty good piece. I just have to figure out what we're going to do about this. This is really a shame. I can't believe that happened.